Here's an EWTN programming note. Due to EWTN's Conclave coverage, the National March for Life from Ottawa and related events will not be seen on EWTN TV. Instead, EWTN will stream these events on our website. On Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, watch the Candlelight Vigil for Victims of Abortion at EWTN.com/MFLVigil. On Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern, watch the National Mass for Life at EWTN.com/MFLMass. Followed at 11:30 a.m. Eastern by the National March for Life, streaming at EWTN.com/MFLMarch.
I'm Tara Mergener. Tonight on EWTN News Nightly, a closer look at the security measures being put in place ahead of the conclave starting tomorrow. Plus, ever wonder how the Vatican makes that rare white smoke used to signify the election of a new pope? We have the answer tonight. Join us.
Hello, family, and welcome back live from St. Peter's Square. We're here. It's Monsignor Roger Landry, the National Director of the Pontifical Mission Societies USA, Dr. Matthew Bunson, Vice President and Editorial Director of EWTN News, and I'm Montse Alvarado, your President of EWTN News, and we're so glad to be here on this final day before tomorrow's very exciting events. And there's a little bit of a attitude of construction. Things are being tightened up, all those loose bolts, before we get into the really big ceremony tomorrow morning, that wonderful mass, and then a procession, and then the sealing of those doors. Well, we had a lot of work to do to get everyone up to speed on who those 133 individuals are. Yes. Coming from all over the world to gather and make the most consequential decision of this moment in our lifetimes and in the life of the church. And we're going to talk about the final group, which are the Canadian Cardinals. Before we get into the package, Monsignor Landry, are any of them eligible or papabile, or have you heard anything about them?
They're all very well thought of, but Archbishop Gerard Lacroix of Quebec City has been mentioned in a couple articles, but that's where it stopped. Frank Leo of Toronto, his successor, 52 years old. He's one of the dream candidates that some people mention, but it's almost impossible that it'll happen for
so young
52-year-old. And Archbishop Tom Collins, the Archbishop Emeritus of Toronto, is extremely well thought of, but at 78, many might think that he's a little bit too old. And so all of them are highly...
Secular Institute Pius X, Cardinal Gerald Cyprien Lacroix, is 67 years old and the current Archbishop of... The first Canadian cardinal in church history was elevated in 1886 by Pope Leo XIII. Known then as Lower Canada, the Archbishop of Quebec, Cardinal Elzéar Alexandre Taschereau, marked the country's inclusion in official church governance almost 20 years after the Canadian Confederation. Since then, no less than 25 men have served the church representing the country, and currently 5 are in the College of Cardinals, with only 4 serving as electors. 78-year-old Cardinal Thomas Christopher Collins from Ontario retired as Archbishop of Toronto in 2023. The only elector from Canada appointed by Pope Benedict, he is widely known for his defense of life and for upholding Catholic teaching. This will be his second conclave. A member of the Secular Institute Pius X, Cardinal Gerald Cyprien Lacroix, is 67 years old and the current Archbishop of Quebec. He's most known as one of the main liturgical and logistical hosts of Pope Francis's July 2022 visit to Canada during events in Quebec, including the Papal Mass at the Basilica of Sainte-Anne de Beaupré. In January 2024, Cardinal Lacroix was named in a class action lawsuit alleging he sexually assaulted a 17-year-old girl prior to his ordination as a priest. While the impartial canonical investigation cleared Cardinal Lacroix of wrongdoing and allowed his return to ministry, the civil lawsuit remains active. Cardinal Francis Leo is the youngest of the Canadian electors at 53 years old. He was elevated to the College of Cardinals in December 2024 and made the current Archbishop of Toronto, succeeding Cardinal Collins in 2023. Born in Montreal, Quebec, but with Southern Italian heritage, he previously served in the Vatican Diplomatic Corps, is a Third Order Dominican, and co-founded the Canadian Mariological Society. The sixth youngest cardinal in the college, he will have a long tenure as an elector. The 78-year-old Jesuit Cardinal Michael Czerny was born in Czechoslovakia, but emigrated with his family to Montreal, Canada in 1948 to escape communist persecution. As the prefect of the Dicastery for Promoting Integral Human Development and the founder of the Jesuit African AIDS Network, he is known for his advocacy on behalf of migrants, refugees, and environmental justice. He is closely aligned with Pope Francis's social mission. Although not eligible to participate in the conclave, French-Canadian Cardinal Marc Ouellet was elevated by Pope John Paul II and turned 80 in 2024. As the former prefect of the Congregation for Bishops from 2010 to 2023, he held one of the most influential positions in the Roman Curia and is likely to draw on many of his personal relationships. He was considered a contender for the papacy in a 2013 conclave. Almost 30% of the Canadian population identifies as Catholic according to Canadian census numbers, and while the eastern provinces boast a majority Catholic population, the Western Catholic community, particularly in Alberta, British Columbia,
by the cardinals that are already there proportionately with regard to other parts of the world. But
Outcome from Pope Francis's visit to Canada. That was something that came with a lot of pomp and circumstance, but also quite a bit of controversy because of the relationship with the Indigenous people there.
It was him praying before the body of water, and it was memorable for two reasons. One, it was a classic Francis gesture of him sitting in prayer and apology, but then the other was, it was one of the first times that we saw him at a major
two official languages of Canada, in addition to every other thing that they'd learn in a school.
All of the cardinal electors that will be making this big decision. Colum, what are you seeing out there? What is it that you feel? Is it electric in any way? This anticipation?
Monsi, it reminds me of the old story. 'Twas the night before conclave, and all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a cardinal. And actually, as I'm standing down here in the square, if you turn around, Monsi, now, and you look behind you, I'll wave at you because I can see you. I can see you from the distance, and I'm giving you a nice big wave up in your studio because I'm down here. Now, I'm not in St. Peter's Square because journalists have to stop at the line that divides the state of Italy to the state of Vatican City. So just behind this fence, that is Vatican City State, that is St. Peter's Square and the beautiful Basilica. And as you can see, the atmosphere down here is one of anticipation, and there is a spiritual element driving this.
What it means to be joyful. I do want to wrap up one thing about the Canadian Cardinals, and that's something that you said yesterday.
Seriously, we take almost any allegation now. It's investigated.
Have done.
The state for the conclave. So there is a lot there. You see, Cardinal fantastic. So just
Had a
Well, friends react when you said, we have a week off from school, I'm heading to Rome to watch the conclave to see how this goes.
I had a couple really motivated, and then one who booked flights with me. And
Columbia University in New York City, and it wasn't easy for the.
we have the reactions from all
Historically, the fisherman's ring would be used to seal documents.
being ready, and I know Parolin's name and then Filoni, so they're seated in order of seniority, which maybe is a good thing or a bad thing in terms of fostering conversations.
Well, it certainly is in terms of keeping the order inside the conclave when they're voting. Everybody knows.
I think beautifully.
While the secrecy surrounding the election of a new pope through a conclave is often conclave and protocols surrounding the papal inauguration. To vote in the conclave, a cardinal must be under the age of 80. That means that at the death of Pope Francis, 135 cardinals out of more than 250 were eligible to take part. 2 cardinals have so far announced they will not be participating for reasons. The name suggests from the Latin conclave with the key. The cardinals are ceremonial ballots. The first scrutineer unfolds each ballot, notes the name of the person chosen, and passes the ballot to the second scrutineer, who, in his turn. On day 1, the Cardinals can cast 1 ballot. On days 2 and 3, they cast 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. On day 4, if no successor is chosen after those 9 ballots, the electors break for as long as 1 day for prayer. Then the process begins again and continues with breaks in the voting should the Cardinals remain undecided. After 30 total votes without an election of a new pope, a change is made. The Cardinals resume voting, but now they must choose only between the 2 leading candidates who are barred from voting. However, the rules are firm. There can be no waiving of the new pontificate begins.
I can't wait for that moment. It's going to be so exciting.
You're going to have to.
I know, that's true. I know. It sounds like we're going to be waiting for a little while. But before we get into that room and everyone who's in there, where do those cardinals of the 252 who are not going to be in the room, those do anything other than pray?
It is possible.
This image, and I think we'll continue to, we're of the 1978 conclave, for example, but only they could go only so far.
Everything's done in Latin.
Are going to be very, very profound. And
Church huddled around the blessed. But it is possible to talk. But normally when people are talking, it
Tradition for many religious communities to have something read or to
ought to be. I'm still told that.
think about tomorrow. Are all of the cardinals moved in? Are they ready to go?
I suspect if they're not, they will be by tonight. They will be ready to go. I mean, this is for so many, 108, and this is the first time they've ever done this. I think they are as eager to get started as everyone else is. So this could be a long and possibly...
Every single time that we gather, it'll give us that opportunity as a global family to really center ourselves and pray together before we go through these days, which will seem long, and we'll have some routine moments associated with them, but also, I think, some excitement in what we will hear and what we'll be able to conjecture based on when these votes happen, how quickly they happen, how efficiently these cardinals can move. So a big thank you to all of you for everything that you've done to continue to support this live coverage from St. Peter's Square. Make sure to catch Column as well, who will be doing live segments after we all gather here to give you a sense of everyone on the ground who is really coming here, as you saw with this young woman, Margaret, I believe was her name.
Magdalene,
who come here in a spirit of hope for this Jubilee, wanting to really follow in the footsteps of the last papacy and to usher in through prayer and presence, which we know was so important to Mother Angelica, for this moment in the church to walk together, all of us. And so Monsignor Landry and Dr. Bunsen will be here bright and early. I'll make sure to get here on time. And we'll start with our family walking through what will be coming next. Thank you so much for being with us, and God bless you.
From EWTN News Nightly in Washington, D.C., I'm Tara Mergener with an EWTN Newslink. Cardinals are wrapping up their meetings in Rome ahead of tomorrow's conclave. Meanwhile, the papal fisherman's ring and seal were destroyed during the general congregation to prevent their misuse on official documents. 20 strikes were reported in 4 districts.
Joy of the gospel.